Hey, yo, what's the deal? Man, it's your boy Tag from Pro Wrestling Tag. You know what I'm saying? As of this recording right now, it is 3:38 p.m. You know what I mean? April 22nd, 2025. You know what I'm saying? And right now, I'm just cooking food. I'm cooking some spaghetti. You know what I mean? I'm waiting for this shit to boil. Waiting for the oil to boil. Aluminum foil. These hoes ain't loyal. Oh, man. So, last night on Raw, Monday Night Raw on Netflix, we seen what could be an alliance forming between, Paul Heyman, Seth Rollins, and Braun Breaker, right? With rumors of the Dangerous Alliance reforming, but in WWE. For those that don't know, the Dangerous Alliance was a group that was in WCW that had the likes of Steve Austin, Rick Rude, Paul Heyman for sure. I think Ricky Steamboat was there. I'm not absolutely sure. But Larry Sabisco, I believe, was part of that crew too. You know what I mean? And also, who else was there? It was a couple of people. I think Medusa might have been there. I'm not absolutely sure. But they're basically forming the Dangerous, a 2025 version of the Dangerous Alliance. And I will say this, right? I would like to see Drew McIntyre in that group. Yeah, I think he'll be the next person to be part of it. It makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Another person who I want to see, maybe, I don't know. I think this would be a great way for Jeff Cobb to come right on in. I don't know if that's the plan. I don't know. But one person, you should add a female in there, right? And a lot of people think that, because Becky Lynch turned heel, that, and her husband is in that crew, that we're going to see her in there, right? But I got another person in mind, and it makes perfect fucking sense. Because especially if it fits the whole name and everything. Naomi, and I'll tell you why Naomi, okay? First and foremost, her gimmick is fucking ill. I love that gimmick that she got. The proceed with caution gimmick. You know what I mean? Like that glow shit is done. You know what I mean? And what's funny about Naomi? That one heel turn is all it took to basically get her to a point where she's more talked about, in my personal opinion, than Bianca Belair. And I'll also say, Jade Cargill, right? Also, as you've seen in that match from WrestleMania, I like Jade. I like Jade. I like, I think Jade is fucking great, but I think Jade still has a lot more to learn. I mean, you seen that little spot when Naomi kind of, flipped Jade's back over for the pin and such, or no, for her to carry her and such. I'm sorry, guys. I just came out of work. But going back to the thing, it makes perfect fucking sense for Naomi to be part of the group. And I'll tell you why. Because her whole gimmick, the tagline is proceed with caution. Proceed with caution. If you are a group like the Dangerous Alliance, right? When something is dangerous, you want to basically proceed with caution, right? So if you touch an electrical wire, you're not supposed to touch an electrical wire, but if you do, you proceed with caution. Basically, like you've been warned. It makes perfect fucking sense for Naomi to be put in that group. Now, I don't know if WWE is going to pull the trigger on making Jade go to, making Naomi go to, go to SmackDown and such. To Raw. Like, what the fuck is going on? Make her go to Raw. But then again, you know what you could do, right? Bianca's being, Bianca needs to go heel. For whatever reason, I think the reason why they're booing Bianca is because people are more pro, they're pro Naomi than Bianca. I'm pro Naomi too. I love Naomi. Like, I love Naomi. You know what I'm saying? And I think, pair her and make a feud with fucking Jade. Yes, you heard what I said. Make Bianca feud with Jade, right? Give them that match. But, you know, that's one way of actually, you know, of actually getting Naomi to Raw. And it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. I mean, she's, you know, you would think that she would have been part of the Bloodline, you know, storyline, but no, I think this is better. My personal opinion, I do think this is way better. You know, and, you know, it gives her more of a rub, you know, especially go after the women's, you know, the women's heavyweight championship, the women's world championship. It makes too much fucking sense. You know, there's a story there. Not only there's a story there, but there's something there. The tagline fits perfectly. It fits perfectly with the crew. You know, it fits perfectly. And yeah, that's all I gotta say about that. You know, but let me know what you guys think. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people think that, you know, some people want Rhea. Doesn't make sense to bring Rhea. Why? Why the fuck would you want to bring Rhea Ripley in, you know, in that group when she doesn't have any momentum? She doesn't have no momentum whatsoever. None. The one that I could think of is Naomi. You know, it's not going to be someone from NXT. You know, it's not going to be it's not going to be Lola Vice. What the fuck does Lola Vice? And I love Lola Vice, but you know, what momentum does she have? You know, like, what does she have to get the rub on? Huh? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make any fucking sense. Like I said, I think Naomi, you know, to me, I think she is best suited for that crew. She's best suited. That's the only other, you know, if they're going to put a female, if they're going to put a female in that stable, which makes sense. But like I said, I would like to see Jeff Cobb. I would love to see Jeff Cobb there. I think it makes sense for Jeff Cobb to be part of that stable. The you know, the 2025 version of the Dangerous Alliance. Make too much fucking sense. But let me know what you guys think. You know what I mean? And I definitely will be coming back with another video tonight for sure. And it is beautiful out here in New York. You know what I mean? So I'm going to holler at y'all. Peace.